Bonjour, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. Hope everybody's got, I've got my coffee here. Thanks for joining us this morning. And we probably anticipate that a couple of more people are going to arrive in the next minute or so. So I'm kind of just delaying before I get started. We're expecting about 22 people or so. And right now we have 19 who have logged in. Just to give you a little bit of a idea as to what we're doing today, or technically first, everyone is muted. We did that so that we don't, everyone doesn't have to listen to all the noise from various people's computers. So in order to keep it interactive during the actual webinar itself, I'm going to ask that you put your questions in the chat window, and the chat window should be at the bottom of the Zoom window that you are currently looking at. So it should be a button there that says chat. Go ahead and open that up. Ryan and Gary are here with me. Gary's right here to my left. Ryan's over to my right, just off camera. And they will be responding to your questions as we go along. I recognize that this webinar is going to be in, I'll be doing this in English because my French is not very strong. And I know that English is a second language for most or many of you. So I will try to go slow. But if there's any questions, if I need to slow down, please just make a note in the chat window and I will back up or reiterate or repeat anything I need to as we go along. I anticipate we should be able to get through this in an hour. We will be recording the webinar so that you can watch it again later or send it to your students. So before we get started, just a little bit, what I'd like to start with, I guess, for the webinar this morning is start with what the Voyageur portal is and why we built it for our project. So what, and I will be looking, sometimes I'll look like I'm looking up, and I'll be looking up because the screen that you're looking at is just over my head. So Voyageur is an online resource and a shared digital collaboration tool that we have built to help all the different research teams around North America and our heritage partners be able to share information, archival finds, data, and generally collaborate across this project for the next 7 years. Okay? It is a portal that's really particularly good at showing information on a map. And given that this project is across the entire continent and across 300 years, we thought having it be a map-based interface would make it easier for us to discover each other's information and data about excuse me, about the Francophone migration in North America. Okay. As well, Voyageur comes with GIS capabilities, which will allow the more intermediate and advanced users to be able to utilize GIS capabilities on the internet. Okay, so quickly, just what is GIS? And again, not everyone has to use the GIS component here, but if you're curious about what this is, GIS is a way for us to be able to take lots of information about different locations on Earth and different times and organize them and lay them together to be able to see how there's different patterns in the same location. So you can see how that's very powerful for the kinds of research projects we're all interested in doing on this larger Francophone migration project. We all use GIS every day in the form of, for example, the navigation in your car or Google Maps. Those are all GISs. And you'll see that the way that we built Voyageur is similar. So it should look familiar to you. So this is just an example of how you can overlay different types of information about historical spaces in a GIS. This is a map from London, Ontario, with the dominant or the ethnicity of the head of household laid on top of each building. So the Voyageur data portal itself has a number of features. So primarily, it's a place to share data. And what the executive committee for the project is hoping is that everyone will store the data that they are collecting and creating as part of this project within Voyageur, so that we all could benefit from the work that the grant is funding. Okay, and it does not have to be spatial data. Non-spatial data works just as well within portal. So archival material, other research findings, papers from literature reviews, journal articles, they can all live within Voyageur. Okay? Sort of think of Voyageur as sort of the desk and archive for the project. So it's a space where you can actively be working as you're looking at material and sharing material with other collaborators and our heritage partners. And it's also a place where we get to archive all of the material for the project, which is part of the mandate of what we have to do by the end of the project, is have everything archived. We're going to today talk about sharing data and information and items between different individuals on the teams. You will see, naturally, we've got people from all over the continent, and I think one person is joining us from Europe this morning. So this provides worldwide access to the data sets. Voyageur also includes a lot of data archiving and backup and recovery functions, and that's the support that Michigan Tech is providing to the project, is to make sure that all this data is safe and backed up regularly. And for the more intermediate and advanced GIS users, there's going to be ways that you can directly connect to the databases, be able to use be able to connect to the data for doing record linkage, for doing spatial analysis. We will not be covering that part today. That is for an advanced, more advanced webinar, which we'll be holding later in the spring. So just a couple more key features. There's some easy to use mapping tools that we're going to be exploring this morning. Voyageur also comes with a number of applications and web apps that allow you to do storytelling, allow you to do data collection, to geolocate historical collections and records. Most of that we're going to cover in an intermediate webinar that we'll also hold a little later this spring. There's also a lot of public engagement and knowledge mobilization tools built into Voyageur that will allow and provide capabilities to the heritage partners and other collaborators to create tools and maps and online storyboards that you can embed. We can embed on the project website, as well as embed on your own personal website for your sub-projects. The Voyageur will become the backbone of any type of virtual exhibit that we end up making. And it also has tools that allow the executive committee to be able to see the data sets that people are creating and those types of things. Okay, so that's sort of why we built it. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to start by going to looking at Voyageur and looking at sort of the landing page. So if you want to follow along on your own computer, you're welcome to, or you can just follow along here in the webinar. So if you're following along in your office or at home, go to the URL that's on the screen, voyageur.mtu.edu/migration. When you do that, you'll arrive at this website, and this is the front page for the Voyageur portal. Here on this page, you can is a snapshot sort of data that has recently been used. So recently used data sets are right here that people have recently used, and you can click on one of them and go and use the data yourself. Here's a few more that have recently been used by someone over the last week or so. If we scroll down a little further, all training material that's being produced for the project is available here. Most of you have probably seen this already, prompted by my email yesterday. Today we're going to be doing the basic training, so the very introductory training to the portal. We also have already created intermediate training in both English and French that we will be having a second webinar for probably in early May. And we're currently producing a sort of expert or advanced level of training for those who want to be able to connect with their statistical softwares or desktop GIS. This webinar, once we're complete today, we will put the video for this webinar here on the page. The project, we also set up webinar, we also set up the portal to have groups, and the groups are based on geographic regions as we define them in the original grant proposal. So these regions may change over the course of the project, and we will update Voyageur accordingly, but for now, these are the groups. Everyone who was originally listed on the grant has been assigned to various and multiple, usually, groups to support the project. For those of you who have recently joined the project or are students of collaborators and co-researchers on the project, we will be creating your accounts soon and putting you and attaching you to various groups. So these groups allow you to, for example, click on the group and see various information, maps and data that people have been using within that group. There's also a list of the participants of that group. And again, those will change, as well as the partners that have been identified for those particular regions. At the bottom is a map that shows you locations in which we have data sets already for within the portal. This gives you a status of the portal, and then at the bottom is the contact information for technical support. If you're ever running into any issues using the portal, you can contact us there at that email address. That email address goes to me and the entire staff here in the Geospatial Research Facility at Michigan Tech, so we can all respond. Okay. So what we're going to do is, when you come to this original front page, to actually get into the portal. So let me also explain for one moment that this page is open to the entire world. Anybody on the internet can see this page, but to actually get into portal, you have to have a login. So to explore the portal, you just click here, and it will go to the front login page for the portal. Again, contact information is here. And if you go up to sign in on the top right, you can then sign in. The sign in are here. So if you're following along with us in your offices or at home, you can sign into either of these training accounts that we have created for the webinars. So if you'd like to use the portal in English, use the username and password you see on your screen at the top here. If you'd like to use the portal en français, use the username and password that we have here below. Okay. So I'll just wait one moment to let everyone have a moment to get logged in if you're doing that at home. So Hélène is asking, can we use our own account? You can use your own account, but for the purposes of the webinar and training today, I suggest that you use the training account. So it's easier for you to follow along. While everyone is getting logged in, I will make a note that everyone who attended the training in Montreal in September would have already received your login information. We have not yet created accounts for most of the new collaborators or the students who have joined the account, and we will be sending an email out either later today or on Monday, prompting everyone to send us some basic information about their students or about the new collaborators so that we can create accounts, personalized accounts for everyone. Okay. So one more note while everyone is getting themselves logged in. As I work through the training material today, there's going to be either red boxes around screen sort of examples, or there's going to be blue boxes. If it's a red box, it's an action. It's something that you click on as we work through the training material. If it is a blue box, they're just notes to give you some more information about what that particular feature does. Okay, so now I will go back over to Voyageur and log in myself, and I'm going to log in English. Uh-oh, hang on. There we go. Once you log in, you arrive on this page, okay? And when you first arrive, you will arrive and see all of the groups that your account is attached to. And again, if you don't see a group there that you expect to see, just send us an email and we will add you to that group. As well, the co-researchers on the project have the capability to add anyone to any of the groups. So you can, if you're a co-researcher, you can do that yourself. So this is the training account. So it has access to all the groups, and you can see Montreal, Grand Lac, Nouvelle-Angleterre, Pacific Northwest, and so forth. So these groups are basically groups that help organize data based on where the information is about. Okay. So we're first going to start with doing some real basic map making. So how can you make a real basic map, or at least see information on a map while you're here in Voyageur? So this is what we're going to do first. Okay. So I would like you to first go up to the top. There's a ribbon at the top of the screen, and there's going to be a button there that says map. Okay. So you can all click on map, and I'll do the same on mine. So I'll click map. Once you do that, you'll see a map generates automatically and showing the entire world. You then can change the initial map that you see on your screen. So if you click base map here at the top, you will see we've put some different options in for different types of base maps that you can add, initially view on your screen. I would like everyone to click here on imagery. Imagery is satellite images of the Earth taken from space or from aircraft. What I'd like you to spend a moment doing is just sort of zooming around and playing with the controls. It's just very similar to how Google Maps works, so this should be familiar to most of you. If you have a wheel on your mouse, you can wheel in and out, or you can click on these controls here at the top left. Okay. If you click on the screen and drag, it allows you to move the map. Okay. Just like this. If you ever get lost, you can just hit the home button and it will bring you back all the way out. There's also search tools up here on the top right-hand side, okay, where you can simply type in an address. And this will search for contemporary addresses, so addresses from today. There's also the option to pull it down, and as we get new data into Voyageur, you'll be able to search addresses in particular locations at particular points in time. So as we get information in for various towns and cities, we can add in that information and allow you to actually search a historical address with this drop-down menu. But for now, we're just going to type in an address, and I would like everyone to type in UQAM, so UQAM for the University of Quebec at Montreal, and simply hit enter. You can see there's lots of options there available, but just hit enter. And your screen should zoom to 405 St. Catherine Street in Montreal. And I'll pause for just a moment while people are doing that. And so as before, you can zoom around, you can zoom in or out, okay? You can close that little window if you like, okay? And this is present day aerial imagery of UQAM's campus. But let's add some more information to the map that we may want to use. So I'd like you to come up here to the top, and there's an add button. And if you click the add button, you'll see there's some options here, okay? I would like you to first use the top option, which is search for layers. So add, search for layers. There is then another drop-down menu here at the top. So initially, it will show you layers that you have added to Voyageur. Because this is a training account, we're not going to look at those, but instead, you can also look at content that you have set as your favorites. You can look at content from any of the groups that you are a member of, or you can look for anything that has been made in the entire portal at all by anyone, okay? So we're going to start with groups. So click on My Groups here. And you'll see that there's some different types of information here that is in the groups that have been assigned to the training account. In particular, though, I want to add in some maps, some historical maps about Montreal. So there's two ways you can do that. You can see there's 43 different layers, which are sort of like map information. You could scroll down until you find it, or you can search for it. So in this case, I would like a map from Montreal in 1912. So I'm going to type Montreal 1912 into the search bar here and hit enter. I'll let everyone do that. When I hit Montreal 1912, I then see that there's only two pieces of information at the moment in Voyageur about Montreal in 1912. One of them is a GOAD fire insurance plan. So I'm going to add that to my map. And you simply can add it by hitting this little plus button here. And you'll see that that map gets placed on top of the modern map. Also, go ahead and add in this other layer here that's called Montreal 1912 lots. This is, so once you hit the plus button there, that will be added to your map. And those represent the property lines and the lots for Montreal as they looked in 1912. If I want to take one of these off, I just simply hit the same button and it removes it from the map. So that's how you can add some information that's within Voyageur. But the advantage of Voyageur as well is that it is built on a system that can connect to other portals and other data clearinghouses that are out on the internet. And so you can actually grab other data from other repositories and use it within Voyageur. And I'll just show you a quick example of what that looks like. If you come back up here to the top to where it says My Groups, go down to where it says ARC GIS Online. That means ArcGIS Online. And you'll see that there's another data set from 1912 that someone has uploaded somewhere. For today, I want you to type in SSHRC, so the English version of for shirk, and the word training, all run together just like that. And then hit enter. And you should see a layer come up called Montreal Institution 1917. Okay. This particular layer comes out of the map project, Sherry Olson's map project from McGill that we have hosted on in a different location. So if we go ahead and hit add on there, you will see that you'll get some shapes end up on your map. This institutions layer is a list of primarily churches and other public buildings in Montreal in 1917. Okay, so now that we've added a few things to our map, what we want to do now is change the way it looks and make it more user-friendly and easier to work with. Okay, so come up here to details, click details, and then click this little button right here. This little square here will show the contents of the map. When I click that, I will now see the 3 different layers that I brought into my map. If I wish, I can turn them off by clicking the check mark. So if I click the check mark on and off, you'll see the institutions layer will turn on and off. Okay. I can also move, if I put my mouse here at the very edge, I can move a layer underneath another one, like the lots. It's a little finicky. Like that, or move the map on top. So it's hard to do. I'm doing this on a projector. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it.
It doesn't let you put
but let's change the way it looks to make this a little easier to see. So under lots, if you kind of hover underneath the lots 1912 layer, there's a little symbol there that has a circle, a triangle, and a square. If you click on that, you will get a screen that looks like this. If you're following along in the training material, we're here on page 18 about how to change how features look on the map. Okay. You then will click the options button here in the middle. Here you can change the transparency. So if I grab this little bar, I can go like this and see underneath and see through that layer to another layer. Keep yours over here at 0%. Then click here where it says symbols. And what we're going to do is we are going to change the way that those purple squares look on the map. So initially, it's about the fill or the inside of those squares. So click this button right here, which is no color, and that will get rid of the purple color on the inside of the map. It will do it after I hit OK. So click here for no color. Then click outline. And this is the outline of the square. And go ahead and pick any color of your choice. I'm going to pick red. And then click OK. And you'll see that my squares now, I can see through those lots and see the lots, but also see the map underneath. Go ahead and hit OK. And done. Now, the information here on the map, this map has a lot of information in it that we actually can't see. So we're going to show some of it. So there's a few different ways that you can see some of that information. So one is to click on things. So this large church here, if I were to zoom in, this is St. James. Actually, let's do this one right next to it. So here's St. James. Next to it is Notre Dame de Loire, which is part of the UQAM campus. That church is still there. If we click on it, we get some information about that location that comes out of a data set. So we can see it's a Catholic church. It has the name of the church, the kind of institution it is, okay, and some ID information from the data. And you can imagine that that could be anything. So anything that you put within any data set that you're creating, once we map them, all that information will be there and accessible. Okay. We could also come over here to institution layer, click the three little dots, and go down to create labels. once we click create labels, it will label whatever field here that we want. And so here it's the institution name should default. And then I can zoom around the map, for example, and see that this is the convent of the Sisters of Mercy. Okay. You can put a little halo on, which makes it a little easier to see. You can change the size and the colors of the words if you like. Okay. And hit OK. So now we made a real basic map. And this is very basic because we're just doing a very basic introduction today to Voyageur. But you can imagine that you make a map that has all different types of information and you want to save that map and use it later for your own research, or I'll also show you how to share it with other people. To save a map, you simply come up and hit the save button at the top middle. And there's a few things you need to fill out, and this is really important, okay? That we take the time to do this well, to make it easier for others to find your work if you're wanting to share it with them. So first you need to give it a title. For today, just call it a demo map. So you just say demo and put your last name. Okay. So you just put demo in your last name. We also are encouraging everyone to put tags on everything that they make. And this will make it a lot easier once we have lots of information for you to find it again. So I'm sure we have all experienced going into Google Drive or into our email and trying to find a file and how hard that can be sometimes. So the tags allow us to be able to make it easier for you to search for this maps later. So for today, just put the word demo. And 2020. Okay. You then can write a summary about your map or anything else that you create. I'm just going to say a map made during the webinar. And then you have to decide where to put it. And you will have different directories in your own account. Actually, you only have one folder in your account when you first start, unless you make new ones. For today, just put it in Portal Training, like this. Okay. So your screen should look something like that, and then go ahead and hit OK or save. And your map is now saved. But let's say you want to share that map. And actually, before I talk about sharing, I want to have a word about sharing. Okay, let's talk about sharing. Sharing is really important within the portal. So everything that you create is only accessible to you unless you share it. So in the spirit of this collaborative research project, we hope that everyone will share virtually everything that is created within Voyageur, especially things that are beyond a very draft kind of condition. You can't, and so when you share, you come here and hit share up at the top, and you get to decide here who you want to share your map with. If you want to share your map or anything else that you're making in Voyageur with everyone, which includes anybody on the internet, so you want to send it to a colleague who is not part of the project, or to, let's say you're using it in a classroom, or you're sending it to a heritage partner who wants it to be accessible to anybody on the internet, you have to hit this everyone button. Okay, so everyone is the entire world, basically. The second option, the Francophone Migration Data Portal, this will share it with everyone who has a login to Voyageur. So that would share it with everyone in the project. Or you can just share it with members of different groups that you were a member of. So if you are working collaboratively with other people in Montreal or in Quebec or in Acadia, you would just click on one of those. Okay. Once you click on one of these, let's say I want to click it with everyone in the whole world, this link right here now is the link that you can send them, and they can then see the map. Okay. If you want to embed it in a website, you can click this button here, and it will create code that you can use to put on a website. If you want to make later in the intermediate training, later this spring, we'll teach you how to make web apps, and that will allow you to do that. Okay. There are some tools here for sharing it on Facebook and Twitter. They're not quite functional yet, so we're still working on getting that to work. But you can just take the link and put it on Facebook or put it on Twitter. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep that shared to the whole portal here and scroll down and hit done down here at the bottom. Okay, so we made a basic map. So now we want to instead show you how to find different kinds of information in Voyageur. So come up here to the top where it says home and click home and then click home again. And you should come back to this front page. So again, if you're still in the map, click home and then click home again. Once you're here, go ahead and click content. Once you come to content, you can see everything that you have created. Okay, that is a file. It opens up as files over here. Any files that you have. If you want to see everything you've made, you can come over here and click on all my content. Okay. And you'll see here's all the demo maps that you've all been making this morning. Okay. In this account. You can use some tools over here, like this right here, where it says table, and you can change the way these look. You can see it as a list, which gives you a little preview of what the map looks like. You can do it as a grid. There's lots of different ways to see what this looks like. Okay. You can also filter based on different filters over here on the left. And this will be really important once you have lots of information in here to look at. So if you just want to look at maps, you can just click maps and it'll only show you the things that are maps. To clear your filters, you click this little X up here to clear the filters, or this one here, either one. If you want to just look at files like PDFs and images, you can just click files, and here are files that are in here. Okay. If you come down a little further, you'll see tags. And tags are those words that you put in, the tag words that you put in when you create things. So it's really important that you think about your project a little bit and think, okay, I'm going to be collecting a lot of diaries, and I'm going to be putting lots of diaries here in Portal. Every time I put a diary in, I'll make a tag that says diary, and then maybe the year that the diary maybe represents, for example, or whatever else, maybe the person that the diary was written by, right? And then you'd be able to quickly come here and click on that person's name and filter it by that person or by that type of historical document. Okay. You can also search. So up here, there's a search bar where it says search all my content, and you can type and do a search in there. So I want you to type in Frenet. And if you type in Frenet, you will see that we have an article in here from the Canadian Historical Association that Yves published back during his youth. If you want to see what this is, you click here on the name of the item. So click where it says Frenet 1989. And it will load up and give you some information. And I don't want to spend a lot of time here because I want to get through some more material. But you can see there's lots of different information in here that we can put in for anything. It can be a PDF, it can be a data set, it can be a map. You have the name at the top. You can see the little pencils here allow you to edit them. Okay. So the name, you can put a thumbnail in. So we loaded a thumbnail here for the journal. You can put a longer name description, and then you can put a long description. So in this case, this is the abstract from the paper. It tells you who owns it, so who put it into Voyageur. If there's terms of use, and this is important for archival material when often we make agreements with our archive partners to not share certain things without permission or without certain ways of citing that material, you want to put that terms of use in the way to cite that material here. Okay. Here's those tags that we were looking at before. Okay. And you can also write comments. So you can communicate with other people about different data sets right here in the data. So this was a comment that we left during the last training in Montreal. I can leave another comment now. This is a comment left during the first webinar. Like that, okay? We'll hit comment, and we'll see that the comment is left there, okay? You can reply directly to a comment and have a nested conversation. If you're the owner, you're allowed to delete things in here too. Okay. If you want to share them, you can also control the sharing right here as well. Okay. So we're going to do that now. If we click share, just like when we made a map, we can set the sharing here as well. Okay. Everyone, or to certain groups, or just to people within the project. Okay. How's everybody doing? Thumbs up or an okay in the chat window? Okay. Alain's okay. Laurent's okay. Good. All right. Everybody else is falling asleep. Drink more coffee. Just joking. Okay, let's go. So next thing is about groups. So I said that everyone is in groups. So I want to talk a little bit more about how those work. So come up here to groups at the top of the window. And that again will bring you to all the groups that you are associated with. And I want you to go down and find Montreal and click on it. This initially gives you a screen with the information about the Montreal study site. So you'll see the participants. Again, these are the participants who were identified to work on Montreal at the time we made the grant proposal. So some of you may now be working on something different, And there are new people as well that have not been added to this list. Same with the partners. So these are just the partners that we had at the proposal stage. There are new partners already in Montreal. Okay. Down here is some of the latest content. So these are some of the most recent things that we've used. Okay. And if you want to see all the content that's related to Montreal, you come up here to the top and you click content. So this is all the content that we have for Montreal right now. Okay. If you want to see who is in the group, you can click on members up here in the top right, and you can see all of the members, okay, and the partners as well. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to show you where we are on the training material. We are all the way down here on page 36, which is downloading data from Voyageur. So I want to show you how to take, so you have a collaborator, they put information in Voyageur, which I'll show you how to put information in a moment, and you want to take things off, or maybe some of the data that's already there, you want to take off and use it outside of Voyageur. I'll show you how to do that. So go ahead and click on content. Again, we're going to go back to your content. So I want to emphasize here that when you're in groups, the content tab is here. This content tab at the top is your personal content. Okay, so sometimes that gets a little confusing. So click content here up here at the top. Yours should look like mine. Okay, then go over here to the left and go to files on the filters. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, you can do it here. Either here or you can do it here. Either one. And you should see a list of files here. Okay. If you're in table view, you can click here on the Basilica for Notre Dame. And then you can come over here and click download. And when you download images, they should load like this. If you are in Chrome, if you're in a different browser, it might look a little bit different, but it should display the image. If you want to save that image, you just take the right button on your mouse. So right click and save image as, and then you can save it on your computer. I would like everyone to save it somewhere on your computer that's easy for you to find, okay, so that we can use it again. Because we're going to actually use this just at the very end of the webinar here. So I'm going to save mine right here, just with that title in my downloads folder. And now this is on my own computer. Okay. If you click the back arrow on your browser, it should go back to Voyageur. Okay. So that's how we download images, but I wanted, and let's say a PDF would download similar. I want to show you how to download the spatial data though, because it's a little bit different. So if you wanted to download, let's say, a feature class or a shapefile that someone puts up. And if you don't know what a feature class and a shapefile is, don't worry. It's something you can learn later or not if you're not going to be working with spatial data. So let's go back to our content. This time we're going to go to groups because we want to grab something out of one of our groups. So you can click on my groups here, or you can click on groups here. They go to the same place. I'm going to go back to Montreal. And I want to take, let's see, where are they? Where are they? Maybe it's in this group. So let me double check. I think we may have set something else. Huh. Okay. Well, we'll do something different than what I had in the training. So if you're in the Montreal group, regardless of how you got there, there should be a file called Montreal Building Footprints. Okay. If you click on that, oh, hasn't been shared yet. Okay. Give me just a second. I'm just going to set this up because we have a slightly different. Oh, no. Yeah. So the one that we had set up for training somehow may have been accidentally deleted. Okay. Well, let me find something else that we can use. Okay, there it is. Let me make sure this is going to do what I think it's going to do. Yes, okay. So if everyone, I apologize for that. If you can go to groups, and instead of going to Montreal, scroll all the way down to training resources. And under training resources, there on the second level, there is something called Montreal Lots 1912. If you click on Montreal Lots 1912, here's that page that has a description and a thumbnail and some other things. You will see over here on the right the option to export data. So you click export data, and it will let you export the data in many different formats. And the formats will depend upon the kind of data that is there. So this is for spatial data. So it will allow you to download as a shapefile, as a CSV, Excel. This is called a file geodatabase, a GeoJSON, and again, if you don't know what those are, that's okay. This is for the more expert users who want to download data and use it in a desktop GIS. But maybe you have a data set and you just want the Excel file. You don't need the map and everything else. You just want to grab the information. You can go here and export it as an Excel, for example. Okay. So what's different about exporting this kind of information than pictures and PDFs is it's a two-step process. So if I wanted to export it as a file geodatabase, for example, I would click on it, and what it actually does, if for everyone who has used, let's say, like the IPUMS extract creator for let's say census data, you have to create an extract where it goes and processes it. This is the same kind of thing. So you would set up a title that says, you know, export for Don, give it some tags. So export Montreal 1912, and I don't usually do a summary. And then I'm going to put this in my training account and hit export. I'm not going to do it, but once I do that, it basically creates an extract, and then I download the extract. Okay. Okay. So two last things to wrap up, because we've already hit an hour, and then I want to get into questions, to live questions that people have. So I want to show you how to add information to Voyageur. Okay. So go back to content. Let's go back to content. Now, this is important because part of the reason that we're starting this webinar series is to help us have resources that we can help our students be able to start using Voyageur right from the beginning of doing their work on the project. You know, many of us are hiring students to go work in archives, to go work with our heritage partners, to be working with census data or other data sets that we all have for the project. We want them to be storing everything here rather than Google Drive or a hard drive, so that others can help contribute, comment, and make it a lot easier for when it's time to do some of those collaborative projects. So to add non-spatial data, so this is maps, not maps, so it's PDFs, documents you scanned, pictures, audio recordings, anything like that. You would click here to add item, and you're going to add it from your computer. So add item from my computer. Then you're going to choose the file off of your computer. And I would like you, just for the sake of the training, go and find that picture of the Notre Dame Basilica that we downloaded earlier. So I'm going to click on my image, click open, and then it's asking for a title. Naturally, you're going to want to give it a better title than that. So I'm going to say Notre Dame Basilica, and I'm just going to say training next to mine so I know to delete it later. Okay, and there's those tags I was talking about before. And this is really important to use those tags. So I'm going to put church, and between your tags you should put a comma. Okay. Oh no, or do we need a comma?
If you want to add a second tag.
Yeah, if you want to add more than one tag, you need to put a comma between it. And then I'm just going to put the word training on mine. Okay. Once you do that, you can click add item. Oh, right. When you go to I forgot to mention this earlier. When you go to add things to the portal, their initial file name has to be different than something else in the portal. And so I'm just going to change the file name of mine like that, and then I'll do it again. I apologize. So add item from my computer. Like that. Okay, then you can hit add item, and it should go up into the portal. It will then load up the page where you can put in your longer description. Because it's a picture, it will automatically create the thumbnail for you. And then I can go in here and edit a brief summary. I can add it a description. So I can come in here and give it, this is a photo of church. Training purposes only. This is very important to have your students fill this information out for everything they upload. And I know it takes a few extra moments, but it's really important. You can add hyperlinks in here. You can copy and paste text in here, anything you like. Put your terms of use, okay? And then make sure you share it so that other people can see it, okay? So again, share, and I'm going to share. For this one, I'm just going to share with training resources, for example. Okay. So that is the basics of how to kind of navigate in Voyageur, how to create a basic map, how to upload things, and how to download things. I think I'm going to stop there because we're shortly after 10 and I want to be sensitive to everyone's time. There are a few other things, however, that I want to just talk about really quickly, and we'll open up the floor. So in your training material handout that you should have already downloaded, you will see information in here, how to log into your portal account with your own login, okay? If you do not yet have an account, please email us at grf@mtu.edu and send us, your name and your email address, and we will, and the institution that you're with or partner that you're with, and we will set up an account for you. The account setup information is in the training material. It's very straightforward, and I think you could probably follow along in the training material how to set up your account, change your password, and set the language that you want to work in, if you want to work in English or French or a different language, okay? A couple other notes. We're going to have an intermediate training. So this is a training on how to build, to do some basic, first to do some basic geoprocessing. So that is like things like, how do I map information? So if I have a table of addresses or locations, how do I map that? Voyageur can map it for you almost automatically. We'll teach you how to do that. We'll teach you how to make story maps and other storytelling tools, and how to use the groups in a more robust way. We're going to have that webinar as well as an additional introductory webinar for any new students that you have in May, right after everyone is done with the semester. So probably the first week of May. We also are developing an advanced training for those who are more GIS or statistics partners, with more tools that you can use to do spatial analysis, to be able to connect to a desktop GIS and pull data sets directly into a desktop GIS, as well as publish from desktop GIS directly to Voyageur, and also how to host your own maps that you've already have and do things with raster data. And again, these are really advanced techniques for the more GIS savvy people. We also can show you how to connect to SAS and R for doing statistical work as well. So I'm going to open up now and unmute everyone. So if people have questions or comments, we can do that. I guess. Where's the mute stuff at?
Should be under where it says. Yeah.
Okay. Everyone is on. Hold on. Mute. Okay, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. So I'm going to mute everyone, and if you have a question, simply unmute yourself and ask the question. Eve, do you have a question?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. It was quite interesting.
Okay. You're welcome. Does anybody have any questions at all? I know that webinars are sometimes a little bit challenging, especially when they're technical. Both, they're challenging for us to deliver, and I know they're sometimes challenging to listen to for an hour.
Don, this is Marie-Eve.
Hi, Marie-Eve.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
How can I know what kind of layers are available. So you showed us about all the layers of Montreal,
Yes.
but is there a list? Is there a place where I can find where what kind of layers are available for the GIS stuff?
Yes. So let me show you. So if you come back to content here, and this is your content, right?
Yes.
If you click on my organization up here on the top right,
Yeah.
you can see everything.
Okay.
So here's
Okay.
530 things are in there right now.
Perfect. So
And
you put some basic layers.
so we
So
have,
when we got the imagery at the beginning, so you got the impression that you can map everything everywhere, but we still have, how can I say, we're still attached to what people put in
yes,
my organization.
yes, yes and no. So
Okay.
so a couple words on that. So let me first explain this. So in my organization, obviously there's 530 things. It'll be really important to filter based on what you're looking for over here on the left,
Yeah.
or searching for it here. As well, the groups are really designed to kind of help, because 530 sounds like a lot, but it's really not. I anticipate just a couple years from now, as the project grows, there will be tens of thousands of things in here.
Wow.
It'll be important to go by sort of the geographic region, right? But to your second part of your question about, well, can I map things that are not in here? You can. So if I go back to map,
Yeah.
like we did right at the very beginning, right? And we get this map. I'm going to zoom way out here. So this particular map, right, is just a map layer that we had for Montreal, and you can see it covers, you know, not the whole city, but a lot of the city for that year. But if I go to a different region that I don't have a map for, so let's say, I don't know, we'll go to Detroit and Windsor down here. You can still use this map and change the base map here to different types.
Yes.
But you won't have any historical maps.
Okay.
Unless someone has added them.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
okay.
What we're going to show people how to do in the intermediate training, we will show you how to bring in other historical maps from other repositories.
Like Manchester?
Right. And then if you have maps that you have sitting on your hard drive, for example, from Manchester, that you want to put in there,
yeah.
And have georeferenced, that will be the advanced training.
Okay.
To show you how to do that, because that
Perfect.
takes a little bit, that's going to take a bit more sort of technical knowledge to do that.
Okay, I see.
Oh, does that help?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much.
Sure. And what I will say is I'm very, I want to emphasize that if you have a lot of energy and you're doing lots of work right now and you can't wait for the more advanced training to be able to add your own map data, we can work with you one-on-one. Gary here is a research assistant on the project and is able to meet with people one-on-one, like through Zoom, to help walk you through how to get some of that information in there.
Okay.
And that goes for anyone. So if the pace of this training was too fast, or you have more questions and you need some more one-on-one training, we can do that with you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Yes. Other questions? So again, if you ever get stuck, ever have questions, please do not hesitate to send us an email at that email address, or call Ryan or Gary or me at those phone numbers. We're here to help. We're here to really get everyone comfortable with Voyageur and how it can really help us not only collaborate better and keep our data safe, but also allow us to be able to make a lot of applications and websites and exhibits that we can use for the knowledge mobilization part of our project, which is really, really important to what this project is all about. So if no one has any other questions, thank you very much for all attending today. We appreciate it. I hope this was helpful, and I will be following up with email links to the video and to remind people to get their login information if they don't have it already. So thank you, everyone.